We are live. Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Inspiration to Achieve. I am excited because this is the first episode for the month. It's been a while, so I'm excited to bring you another exciting episode. An inspiration to achieve, if you've been following us, is all about inspiring you to transform and turn your aspirations into transformational tools that would then help you to achieve your goals. Basically, we provide you with insights to help you achieve your life and business goals. I am your host, Patience Ogunbona. I'm also known as the visionary introverted woman. So this is because my passion in life is to help introverted women to build lives and careers that are in alignment with who they are. And by so doing, you're able to achieve presence and position yourself as an authority in your field, in what you do, be visible to those that need you so that you can achieve your income goals, your profit, and all the things that you desire and thrive as well doing it. So I really love as an introvert to have deep and rich conversations. And today, as part of Inspiration to Achieve, I'll be bringing you one such conversation, and it's with a friend and a fellow coach, Janine Esbrand. So we'll be having rich conversations today, and we'll really be talking about extrovert tips to help you build your career and network as an introvert. Yes, I've said it before. There are, they say opposites attract. So the truth is that you feel like, okay, you just need to hang out with the introverts to have a great time. But the truth about it is you need to hang out with the extroverts so that they show you how to have a great time as well. So, and there are extroverts, believe it or not, that actually love introverts and vice versa. So we're having that love fest conversation today and bringing value. So before I bring Janine, I just want to share with you what she does, the brilliant expertise that she brings. So Janine is an executive coach, career strategist, TEDx speaker, former lawyer. So she's going to tell us, the fine lines as well. You never lose that, don't you? If you're a legal person, you think in terms of legalities of things. And a mother of two. She hosts a podcast called the Career Change Maker podcast. Hi, Abigail. Thanks for joining us from LinkedIn. We're so glad to have you. So she hosts the Career Change Maker podcast and speaks regularly on the topic of career change and advancement for women. So let's welcome Janine on. I'm going to bring her on now.
Hi, Patience.
Hi, Janine. We're going to have some rich and deep conversations today. So though you have announced that you're an extrovert, you can have a nice flavor of some deepness today because you're going to share from your perspective, but we're also bringing some introvert perspectives. So I guess it's important to tell us more about you and things that I have not yet said that are interesting on your journey, on your entrepreneurial journey to becoming who you are today.
Yeah. So I would say that one thing that not everybody knows is that I started off as a lawyer. And soon after I qualified as a lawyer, I went on a mission trip to East Africa and had the chance to go there and do some really hands-on work with a group of lawyers. And it was a 2-week trip, but it was literally life-changing. So when I came back from the trip and I was sitting at my desk working on contracts, I was like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? 2 weeks ago, I was helping people get their freedom back. And now I'm sitting here looking at contracts. There has to be more to life than this. So that's kind of what started the journey to coaching, because I was asking what else could I do so I could help people on a more personal level. And I came across coaching. I did like a 2-day seminar, found out about coaching, opened up a can of worms, and then did my certification alongside my legal career. And that's just really led me to wanting to support women and help them to progress in their careers. So that's something that not everybody knows about my journey.
Oh, that's that's fantastic. You did say something, but before then, we just want to welcome Gary. Hi, Gary, and thank you. He says, "Thank you, ladies, for sharing your gifts. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us as well on LinkedIn. So why did you say going on that coaching journey that you did open up a can of worms? I'm intrigued by that because I was expecting you to say it just illuminated and made me feel great. Why did you say can of worms?
Because it was as though I went on this 2-day seminar and I realized that there was a whole industry around something that I just thought was something that I did. So I've always been the person to see the glass half full, to encourage people to say, okay, we're here, but where do you want to get to? I'm the person that my friends go to for advice. And so when I realized that there was a whole industry around this, it's like, well, I have my legal career, but hold on, I really want to dive into this. So I did one certification and then another certification. So when I say can of worms, it's really about me diving in and recognizing that there's this whole area of personal and professional development that I could dive into, learn more about so that I could help other people. So I felt like I kind of went down the coaching rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And like, this is amazing. I didn't know this was here, and I'm so excited that it is. So yeah, that's kind of what I meant there.
Yes, coaching is amazing and so life transformational. And I think sometimes it's about recognizing your potential. That is what makes people really want to tap into coaching because you recognize that there is more in you. And it's not through training, it's not just through telling, but coaching can bring it out even more. So I like that. So, what is the key thing that people need to be aware of when it comes to career change? Because you are, that's your expertise area, and obviously you made this big leap in career. So, we're of changing from being a lawyer to being an executive coach. So, tell us what is the key thing that people need to be aware of when it comes to career change?
Yeah, I think the key thing is to recognize that it isn't necessarily going to be it's not going to be a quick thing. I think oftentimes people feel stuck where they are, recognize that what they're doing right now isn't the right thing for them, but then they don't know what else to do. So they ask the question, if I'm not doing this, what else would I do? And then they wait. It's like they wait for inspiration, they wait to figure it out. But what happens is a year goes by, 2 years goes by, 3 years, 5 years, and they're still in the same position. So the thing that I would encourage people around is you have to take action. So clarity doesn't come from just waiting for the answer. It comes from taking action and going out to seek the information and the data that you need in order to make an informed decision about what the right move would be for you. So I would say if you're considering a career change, it's about really exploring options rather than thinking I need to make a decision and then being worried that that decision isn't the right decision, and so you don't end up doing anything.
And that's quite key, actually, because for me, I know that one of the challenges, it's deep thinking is a strength. Then the Achilles heel or the kryptonite for introverts, deep thinking being the strength or the superpower, the kryptonite is overthinking. And I think what you've said is quite true that people would wait because they're overthinking the process of making that change, that career change, rather than actually taking action. Actually, it's like we say, rather than leave it in your head, put it on paper. So basically, I like what you say, which is take action. If the taking action is actually mapping out a success pathway, which is one of the things I tell my clients, and I work with them to say, let's map out a success map pathway from where you are to that place you want to get to. You have to map it out. There is nobody that's going to do it for you. Even what coaching does is to actually help you to intuitively to bring out that desire and those pathways that you want to work. So I like that.
Yeah,
But
and I think
sorry, carry on.
No, I was just going to say, I think with that mapping out piece, what often happens is there's two parts to it. It's the what do I actually want? Where am I trying to get to at the end? And then there's the how do I get there? And I think where people get stuck with the overthinking is they focus on the how. So as soon as they have an idea, they're like, oh yeah, but I can't see how that would work. How would that even work? And they go down the road of really trying to think through how would work. And because they can't identify the how, they eliminate the what. Like they don't really get to the point where they fully map out what the vision is. And so then you're in a position where you're just discounting opportunities just because you don't yet know how to figure it out. And that's something that can come later. when you know what you want to do, then it's easier to say, okay, I know what I'm going for. So what is the plan of action to get towards that, rather than trying to figure out the how before you know what the what is.
And it's very interesting. I like that point you made because we don't realize that that's how our brain is working. That's how the brain is working. So you have to bring consciousness to what you're doing and how you're doing it so that you can actually change it. So I like that. But the other element that you talk about, which I think is very useful in exploring your options, is networking. So basically, when you're exploring your options, if you stay in the room, like introverts would want to stay in the room and not come out, the likelihood of getting the how or even getting ideas to clarify your what can be challenging. So, how does networking really, if you were to talk about how networking will aid you in achieving those career goals, what are some of the points you would raise around that?
Yeah, I would say that networking is key.
Mm,
So whatever it is that you want to do, whether in your personal life, in your professional life, everything's done with people. It's all about
mm,
connection. Business is done people to people, company to company, that's headed by people. So it's recognizing that you have your perspective, right? And your perspective is very much shaped by your experience, your background, what you've been exposed to. And
mm.
the way that you think and the way that you view possibilities is very much because of what you've experienced. So as soon as you start connecting with other people who have other ways of thinking and who have other approaches and other belief systems, then you're opening yourself up to what is possible. So if you're
Mm,
not willing to step outside of you and what you know and connect with other people that can bring other perspectives, it's really hard to grow and it's really hard to see what is possible for you. So I think if you're looking to grow in your career, if you're looking to move in your career, you have to expand your circles so you can expand your sphere of influence, and then you can learn from other people, and that's an
mm,
opportunity for you to accelerate quicker. Like if you want
mm,
to if you want to try and do things, doing it in community or doing it with other people is going to get you there way faster than you trying to figure it all out on your own.
I like that, and I like the word sphere of influence. That's really a great word. But I also, from what you say, kind of see it as when you're networking, um, you kind of, they say you are the sum total of the five people you spend a lot of time with.
Yep.
So it's before you know it, it's like for me as a married person, and I'm sure you experience that as well. You find yourself sometimes mimicking each other because you spend so much time together, and you be thinking, I'm doing this the way he does it. And it's
Yep.
really ridiculous. That's not, but it's just that rubbing off each other. And as they say, iron sharpened iron. So, that's a great tip you've given us around why. I think it's the why. They say find your why to do anything, and it'll be very important. And that why is very important. The sphere of influence. And maybe explain that word sphere of influence a bit more if you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you talk about the sphere of influence, it's really about when if you have a person and then there's people around you in your network, and you are influenced by who's around you, and you also influence those around you. So that sphere of influence is really about who is in that container. And sometimes it's small, but then you have the opportunity to expand it. And sometimes you have multiple circles. So when you're in your home life with your friends, with your with your colleagues, it might be different. And then when you're
Mm,
saying, okay, I want to move into a different circle, I want to, maybe if I am considering a career change, then you have the opportunity to say, well, I don't really know any people in that industry, so how do I position myself so I can start to build up those relationships. And one of the things I will say with the sphere of influence, it's not just about what people do, it's also about how people think. So
mm,
if you are somebody who is an overthinker, or somebody who says, I need to see how this is all going to pan out before I can take action, surround yourself with people who have already done it, because the way
mm,
that they think is different, and their thinking is going to rub off on you. So then
mm,
what happens is you go from being like, oh, I don't think this is possible, to being with people who have done it and who are going to the next level. You see that it's possible, you see how they think, and then you kind of rise up to that rather than staying with other people who are just equally in the same place as you saying, we can't do this. So it's really, really
Yeah.
for growth for you to say, I need to expand my circle. I can't just stay where I am if I want to grow and develop.
Mm. And that is what you triggered a story for me that I heard in the very first time in my journey that made me think of peer pressure and how you need to change environments if it's not a growth environment. So story time, as you well know, we share a few stories. So let me tell the story. It's a story about an experiment that was done where they put monkeys in a room. Now, monkey, and then they put a pole. And the natural inclination of a monkey is to climb a pole. So obviously the pole was there, and they put this monkey, let's just say 5 monkeys. Each time they went to climb the pole, they got an electric shock. So, and they would give up. Another one would go try, give up. And by the time all 5 of them had done that and realized it's shocking, the pole is shocking, they refused to go. So then someone introduced a new monkey. So they sat down, we're not behaving like monkeys, we're not climbing. And everybody was just, having conversations on the lower ground, so on the floor. And so they put in another monkey. And this time the pole was not lit. So, but each time that new monkey, I'm a monkey. What are you guys doing? You're sitting down. You're supposed to try to climb the pole. They would drag that monkey back. Like, no, you're going to be shocked. Yet there was no shock anymore. So the thing is, be careful of the environment you are in. That's what that is saying, because the experience that people have. So if you want up level your thinking, go to an up leveling environment. If you stay in a dragging down environment, guess what? The moment you want to climb that pole to that next level, they'll be like, what? If you get there, you get a shock, you will lose your job, you will get bad managers, so you end up sitting down and being at the level. So I think what you've shared is really great. Anyway, so one of the things I want to ask about as well is networking can actually be a swear word for introverts because they just think it's all about small talk. So, but one of the things is that many introverts do try and dip their toe in. The thing is, then after dipping the toe in, the next phase, which I think is something that would need a lot of mindset shift, is carrying on to leverage that toe dipping rather than retreating back into the comfort of solitude.
Yeah.
So what are some of the key things that you think introverts should be able to, adapt to help them, or mindset?
I think firstly, redefining the meaning of networking, because I think networking has those connotations, right? Like you say networking and people think that means working the room, like going to an event when we were, all doing in-person events and handing out your business cards and then making connections. That is one way of networking. And that way of networking may very well suit extroverts who like to work the room and like to be with lots of people. But that's not the only way, and sometimes not the most effective way, because it's like, yeah, you get the business cards and then what? So I think it's recognizing, okay, I want to make connections with people. How do I leverage my natural strengths and inclinations? Like as an introvert, the likelihood is that you value deep connections with people. You value conversations that aren't surface level, right? So how about you look at what strategies could I implement that would allow me to build relationships with people on a deeper level? Because networking is basically about building relationships with people. So instead of trying to go wide and say, oh, I need to, I should be networking, I should be connected with all of these people, don't do that. Don't do that. Just be strategic and say, okay, given my objective and where it is I want to be, who are the people that I would really like to connect with, like genuinely like to connect with and learn more about? And when you identify that, you reaching out to that person, if you're interested in them and their journey and you want to find out how they got to where they got to, what are some of the things that they did or didn't do, that's about having deep conversations. So it's about saying, okay, well, how can I go deep with a few people rather than wide with lots of people? And when I'm going deep, I'm choosing people that I actually want to get to know. So in terms of that follow-up, it's like, oh, I actually found them really interesting. So I do want to follow up and find out more about them, or I do want to send them a resource that I came across, or I do want to like tell them about an event I saw that I thought they'd be interested in. So that follow-up, it doesn't always have to be, okay, I need to go and arrange a coffee date with them every few months. It could literally be, hey, we had that conversation the other day. I saw this article. It was really interesting. I thought you might like it. Send it to them. Like, tag them in a post. Those kinds of small things are building relationships. It's not, it doesn't always have to be like the types of interactions that people think it has to be. So that's what I would say. I would say, think about how you like to show up and how can you make it work for you in a way that's authentic, feels good, but still allows you to connect with new people.
I really like that, and I think it answers the question around a mind not being sneaky, for example, or I have an agenda, so I look for these 5 people and I go out with an agenda. What would you say from that point of view if someone is thinking like that and thinking, ooh, because that's what holds people back. Oh, really? I know they can help me, but if I try to connect, it's because I have an agenda. So what would you say to help people who are thinking like that? Because I guess in business or even in career, having an agenda, is it a bad thing? And how do you really use that?
Having the agenda isn't a bad thing, but it's about having an intention, but you're not so tied to it. So it's not like, right, when I meet this person, I'm going to connect with them, they're going to introduce me to somebody, and then I'm going to get whatever outcome you ultimately want. It's about recognizing that in building relationships, it's a two-way street. So you might make a connection with this person. In your conversation with them, don't just think about, okay, how can they help me, but listen for opportunities to help them. So if they mention to you, oh, I've had a conversation with someone and they would say, oh, I'm really interested in podcasting. When I connected with them, I didn't really necessarily think I was going to talk about podcasting, but I have a podcast. So then I was able to say, hey, these are some resources. Immediately, you've given something. And because you've given something, if there is opportunity later, they'll be open to it. And then you won't feel bad like you're just trying to take, because you're also looking for opportunities to give. So I think if you're tripped up by that and just thinking, oh, I don't want to be sneaky and be thinking I just want to get something from them. Look for opportunities. How can I give? And as there's give and take in any good relationship. So if that's your intention, it's like, my intention is I want to get to know this person and I want to see how we can mutually support each other, rather than I'm connecting with this person just so I can get something. And then you're open then to what comes out of that. Like, it might not be what you initially thought. The interaction might lead to something else, and that's great. We just see how it goes.
And sometimes it's about who you know then introduces you to somebody else that you didn't think about, was not on your agenda, and it really makes sense. So it goes back and ties in with your first statement around taking action to figure it out rather than waiting to know the how, because the how can come from the connection, who give you an idea about what to do. Because you're connected to them, you are in their circle, the how comes that way. So I like what you're sharing. So basically, one of the phrases that introverts use a lot, and I say it, is I don't want to become extroverted in order to live my life, because I am wired introverted and I like myself. I really like myself. I think I bring something to the world, which is exciting. It doesn't, sometimes I make noise and sometimes I don't, because I'm now, more of a social introvert than anything else. But the question is, what are some of the secret ingredients that we can emulate? Because it's not, oh, I hate extroverts. It's about, there are some admirable things that we can pick up and say, we really want to emulate this. So what are the top secrets? Now, spill it for introverts. Some of the top secrets that would be takeaways from this conversation around networking that introverts can tap into.
Yeah. So I think when you think about extroverts is really about where you get your energy, right? It's like, if I have a conversation, so after we have this conversation, I'm going to be pumped. I spent the morning with my kids. I got to speak to you. I'll be like, that will give me a boost. Whereas for some people, after you have an interview or conversation with someone, it's like, okay, I need some time to recharge. And that's okay. Like both ways are okay. But I think one of the things that extroverts have is a curiosity for people. So because you like to connect with people and you get your energy from people, you're curious and you want to find out about people and you want to learn more about them and their journeys. So I think as an introvert, it's fine to like retreat and say, I want to recharge my energy, but like, how can you be more curious about others and recognize that whilst your own company is fantastic, what can I learn from other people that I don't already, that I don't already know? Like my husband, he's an introvert and I'm the extrovert. And sometimes he would just sit and he's just thinking and he's got his eyes closed. I'm like, are you sleeping? He's like, no, I'm just thinking. I'm like, I don't understand.
That's a happy place.
I'm saying to him, what are you thinking about? He's like, I'm just thinking. I'm like, now, what are you thinking about now? And it's like, it's so interesting because I feel like there has to be a reason for you to be doing that. And he's in his happy place and that's okay. But sometimes he will then come to me when it's like, okay, I need to get out of it or I need to connect. Like, how do I do that? So I think it's recognizing there's balance when you connect with other people and drawing from them inspiration and just, being more curious about what's going on in your head over there rather than just in your own zone, which is a lovely place to be. But there's so much interest. There's so much interesting things out there.
I'm actually laughing because I'm suspecting that my husband is more extroverted than I thought, because he comes home and he's pumped with energy and he's like raring to go and he's been with people all day and he works long hours. And then I just look at him in shock because he's ruined my peace. The house is now having noise. And I'm like, where on earth does somebody get energy from after work to be this chirpy? I can't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And he'd be like, what? I'm glad to be home. Yes, I said. Then I would say, yes, be glad quietly. You don't have to disturb my own gladness. You've ruined my gladness. And I'm asking, am I glad that he's home? Or I just want him to go back out for a bit, so it's very, but fun aside, that curiosity, getting more curious, I guess asking yourself about the strategies of how do I get more curious about people, can really, I think that's the key thing you've given us that can really make a difference. How do I get more curious about people? But also, I think one of the key things that Simon Sinek said, you said it, that your husband comes to you and ask about, how do I get more out there? Simon Sinek says, have an extrovert in your life and take them to a party so that it helps you. It helps you to mingle. And when you don't want to mingle, you will still feel like you're connected to people because they'll be walking the room and you will stand by the cheese table and just eat your cheese quietly. So I think that's a brilliant one. At least because they're with you, they're your how do I call it? Your comfort blanket to go out there and do stuff. So that's what he was trying to say, was like, get your nice comfort blanket extrovert friend or whoever that is in your life, so that you go places with them. And when you do that, if it gets too much, they're still there, but they got you there anyway. So you can go in and out and really still manage things. Or you can walk the room with them and decide not to have the conversations, but be present. I think presence is just as important. So, thank you very much for that. And I think you shared so much here that people can take back and use in terms of career and in terms of networking. So if you were to give a final word of wisdom around either career changes or networking and say, I want you to ponder on this, what would that be?
Yeah, I would say ponder on the fact that people like to talk about themselves most of the time. So when you're thinking, I don't want to reach out, I don't want to, how do I connect? If you go in with that curiosity and you're asking questions about somebody's journey, and this works, if you're considering a career change and you're speaking to someone who's doing the thing that you want to do, and you're really asking them genuinely about what it is that they do and why they've made certain choices, people will open up. And then that gives you opportunity, and that gives you different things that you can latch onto in terms of building that relationship. It gives you opportunity to see where there's synergies, where there's similarities. And so when you're thinking, how do I do this? How do I have these conversations? Ask the questions, like be more interested in learning about the other person than it is then talking about yourself. And then you're going to be able to get into learning so much more and deepening the relationship a lot quicker. So I would say that's probably the thing to do. And just, it's one of those things, right? It's like feel the fear and do it anyway. It isn't easy, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. But it is vital if you do want to progress, whether that is in building your business, whether that is in progressing in your career. You need people. Like, we're not created to be working in isolation all of the time. We need community. And so it's, how do I push myself to take those steps? And the more that I take them, the easier it's going to get.
Thank you so much. That's been, very brilliant. And I know some people watching will be thinking, oh, I want to watch this again. Maybe there's some points I need to jot down and start taking action. Well, I've got a YouTube channel that you can go to and obviously get a replay of this, because it might go away and you won't find it, when when posts keep piling on posts. But with the YouTube channel, you know that you can subscribe, therefore you can get notification when it's uploaded. You can find it very quickly because it will be in your watched history, so you can rewatch it when you want. So Janine has really given us some great tips here, and we'll also put in some links, for you to connect with Janine and talk more about your career change, and how you can make it happen for yourself. So thank you so much for this, Janine.
Thank you.
So before we finish, we were two things I want to do. So the first one is, we usually share some quote that gets you thinking even more. Apart from what Janine has said, I just want to add more thinking and expand your deep thinking. So here's a quote by Susan Cain. Those of you that are introverted, you know Susan Cain. And it says, the secret to life is to put yourself in the right lighting. For some, it's a Broadway light spotlight. For others, a lamp-lit desk. Use your natural powers of persistence, concentration, and insights to do work you love and work that matters. Solve problems, make art, think deeply. So I guess this is about visibility. This is about presence. Which one do you want? Doesn't matter what's important. She said Broadway spotlight or lamplit desk, a lamplit desk. But what's important is that you should use your powers as an introvert to do things that you love. Bring yourself and your full potential. Bring your real self to the world. Show up, show up, really, not hide out. Show up. I think that's what she's encouraging us to do. So feel free to connect as well with us. There'll be a few links attached to this that you can connect in whichever way you want. On all the social media platforms, but also keep your eye out, because starting from next week, I'll be talking about something exciting for introverted female entrepreneurs, and I can't wait to share that with you. So just want to say thank you again to Janine, and I'm wishing you, everyone, a great rest of the week, and we're rooting for your success. Take care and God bless.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Ooh, I've lost the connection to switch it off now. Oh my goodness. Ooh, we've expanded. Okay. Let me go. I don't know what to do. Tech is an interesting one, ain't it?
It is. It's lovely. It's fantastic when it works.
Okay, so we're going to end the broadcast now. Yeah. Thank you.